So we arrive in Quillabamba about 9 o'clock at night. This is September 1964, and look for a hotel room. Have no arrangements made beforehand as to how we're going to locate or where we're going to live when we get here as a family. Part of my excellent planning, obviously. And only one hotel room available in the two rather C- hotels in Quillabamba. And this room has two narrow beds in it. And so, making do with what we have, just like we did up in Puccio when we had to sleep in the car all night. We, four of the kids sleep crosswise on one of their narrow beds, and Mary Jo and I sleep on the other. Now, sleep is a relative question. I don't know that any of us really slept that night, but I remember being awakened by the kids as one by one they'd get up to go to the bathroom, and then there would be squeals coming from the bathroom and kind of shouts and dismay. And so checking it out by the one yellowish light bulb that was there hanging from the ceiling, found out that their squeals were because of their dismay at these scurrying objects that were going up and down the walls, which turned out to be just normal cockroaches, big in size, but that's what they were. So after a somewhat miserable night, we awake the next morning to the smell of delicious baking bread, bright sunshine, beautiful fruit trees with fruit on them outside our motel room. Oh, what a change, and what a warm welcome that was for us into the reality of Quillabamba. And that day, our kids begin their explorations, and they start with finding an ice cream place, and there was one. And the owner was Jorge Altamirano and his wife. And Jorge, being the only gringos in town that they had seen and lived there, or seldom ever came through, he got acquainted with our kids, and they told him who we were and what we were there for. And so he took it upon himself as a good Christian to find out for us a place to live, even before I had a chance to speak to him. And he located a family that lived in Quillabamba by the name of Araujo, Araujo, who owned a building on the edge of town there, what was in the north edge of town, up on the second floor. And we'll tell you more about that a little later on. But anyway, before the day was over, we had a place to stay, and we were considering ourselves very fortunate and really blessed. And that night, we knelt in prayer in our new accommodation and thanked God for the blessing of protection that we'd had all through our journey and up over the Andes Mountains and down into this high jungle town of Quillabamba. If Mary Jo were here, I would have her describe our living accommodations. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well and not up to being able to be here this morning. So I'll do my best. The apartment which the Altamiranos found for us was located above what's called a bodega, which fronts onto the street. We're up on the second floor, and the Araujos live just across the hall from us. They have their living facilities there. Their family has a large family. Very gracious, very kind, a fun family. And the facility is really just one big room, which you might call a living bedroom combination, in which there are no beds to start with. So I was able to obtain 6 mattresses to put on the floor for our first about a week there, as I recall, until we could locate some metal beds to put the mattresses on. So we slept on the floor, but after the first night we discovered that we were sharing the floor with the pulgas, or the fleas. And so that took an attempt to, on our part, to get rid of them. We discovered from the Arajos, who gave us good counsel, that the best way to get rid of them was to mop the floor with kerosene. And the kerosene would kill the fleas. So we accomplished that and weren't bothered particularly by the pulgas after that. Our one large bedroom living room that we all shared together had adjacent to it a kitchen. The kitchen comprised of a small area and looked out on a court where other families lived around in the back of us there. And there was a shower. And that was important. No hot water to the shower, but cold water. And you could tell when some of our kids were taking a shower, because the screams would be enough to wake the whole neighborhood when that cold water hit them. And they can probably tell you some of their memories of that. Well, it didn't take long for our kids to discover that there was a swimming pool in town there. And so this next picture you see was of our son Stephen, who was about 3-4 years old at this time, exploring the swimming pool. As you can see, it wasn't an aquamarine. It was rather greenish in color, probably some of the algae that was floating in it. And we had some trepidation about going in, what they might pull out, but the kids found it and they swam in it and enjoyed it very much. But the Altamiranos soon introduced us to some of their favorite swimming areas, and one was a large creek. It's larger than a creek, small little river that flowed down near Quillabamba, not the main river, but a tributary. And we had spent some enjoyable afternoons here at this site with them. And here's a picture of our daughter Leslie enjoying a waterfall and covered by Mother Nature. Then another option was the Quillabamba River itself, which we went with them several times to explore and to enjoy. However, our enjoyment was kind of cut off one time when we saw a large snake floating by. And a memorable event took place in Quillabamba while we were there. It was the landing of the first airplane ever to land in Quillabamba on a field north of town. And if you look closely, you'll see our son, the 3 kids standing in front. On the right is David, his left is Judy, and Stephen. Among our closest friends in the valley were Manuel and Marta Concha. Manuel was the Secretary General, Secretario General of the Federation of Peasant Organizations in the valley, and they became special friends. We visited them in their home, and they came to our home. We had dinner together a number of times, and following our stay in Quillabamba, when we moved back to BYU, Daniel, their oldest son, came to live with us for a year, so we became particularly close to them. And in this photo are Manuel and Marta standing in the coffee drying area in front of their house. And to the left of them you'll see a lady who is Marna Tuttle, wife of A. Theodore Tuttle. The two of them were visiting us in Quillabamba at that time. And these are the children of Manuel and Marta. Daniel, the boy on the right, came to live with us for a year up in Provo, where he went to school at Provo High School, learned English. And here, holding our son David up in the air, is Pancho Cavero. Helped me with the study. So that gives you a flavor of our very helpful Quillabamba, which our family enjoyed very much. And the next video will present some of the interesting things that transpired during the actual research while I was there in the valley.